Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. That's gonna bother me, but whatever, we'll figure it out. Okay, hey, let's do it. Howdy. My name is still Jack. This is the Devil's Advocate, episode 2. We're gonna call this one the second one. I was gonna call it "Who Do You Think You Are," but I didn't want to, I guess. So I may look a little bit different. You know, last week I was wearing a white Team America jersey because I'm adopted and I just desperately want to fit in. Today I'm wearing teal because I'm a forward thinker. And how else will people know I'm progressive if I'm not wearing pastel colors?
Hi, I'm a progressive. It's easy to be a progressive in 2020. All you have to do is wear teal and not hate the gays. But really, just wear teal.
Oh, God, I just choked on my saliva because I'm out of breath for some reason from sitting here. Okay, so Devil's Advocate, pretty straightforward. It's just me. I'm going to be talking goofy shit about some things that I brought up, and then I had a lot of fun comments from some of the people who watched it, so we'll address a couple of those. Here are a couple sound clips you can look forward to me talking about. And it tasted like fucking spaceship that slightly blipped to become visible, yelled a racial slur, and then slipped back into the ether. I don't want to eat slavery grass. Okay, let's quick talk about a few of the comments that I got from the last one and how I'm going to hopefully change. Oh, also I should mention this is the first episode of Devil's Advocate that I might have to put an epilepsy warning on because I have a light up there that's flickering because it's not screwed in correctly, and that left me with two options. One, I could fix it, or two, I could leave it exactly as it is and just mention it. So I'm doing that one. It's not too bad, but if someone's running around upstairs or, you know, if We Energies cuts my electric, that one might flicker first. So let's keep that in mind. If there's a little bit of flickering with the lights, you'll probably see it here with my shadows, the mouth, but whatever. Okay, let's do some comments from the last episode, pros and cons. Pros, audio is great, cool. Jack, you're a sexual icon and the voice of the people, okay? I didn't die during the filming, which, much to the behest of my night terror demon from the 4th grade, who always follows me in the shadows ever since. Still alive, and my chair didn't explode, which is great because I actually only have. Well, actually, it might be. Yeah, you can see it kind of. Ooh, back there. There's another one of these exact chairs that I got from my parents' old family room, and then the cats clawed it to shit because they have rear claws, and so yeah, this is my only good one that has a working back. So I'm glad that this didn't break because it's my only red leather chair, which is on brand, as the children may say, as the kids say. Cons, video quality is still trash. I don't know if that makes it more endearing, but you know what pisses me off is I bought this webcam and it said it was 1080, and the resolution at which I'm recording this and editing it is 1080, but it looks like grainy fucking death. So, that's what I get for buying a $30 webcam from Best Buy, I guess. But a little upset about that. I changed my angle. The last one was a little bit too groin focused, I think, maybe. Now you're going to look back and realize I'm stupid. But I've changed the angle. I zoomed out a little bit. I got it up a little higher so you can't tell how short I am. Cool. Someone told me I was fidgeting with the mic more than I wanted, which is fine. And honestly, it's probably because I was just nervous. I fidgeted with the mic because I'm cool as shit, am I right? And I fidget with what I want. No, but to honestly try and remedy that, I'm now holding a glass of whiskey. I'm going to try not to drink from it because it's noon. But that does bring us to today's sponsor. Again, I'm going to read their copy that they have provided for me. Today's sponsor is Johnny Walker Whiskey. The Johnny Walker family of whiskey, sorry. Right here, having myself a glass. The Johnny Walker family of whiskey prides itself on having near undrinkable slop at any price range. Due to marketing, we have tricked the dumb into thinking that Johnnie Walker Blue is worth it, which it definitely is not. We stopped making green because it tasted like death feels, and now it's impossible to find. But the unintelligent masses interpreted that for quality. Johnnie Walker Gold. It's pretentious poison and should only be bought to impress people who don't drink whiskey. Johnnie Walker Double Black is the only one worth its money. Johnnie Walker Black sold terribly in the 60s, and we have never since tried to put any more effort into it. And Johnnie Walker Red, a drink that used to be so cool it was in Mad Men, now is relegated to rail whiskey at golf clubs. Red is truly awful. Thank you, Johnnie Walker, for sponsoring today's episode. Now, on a real note, I did buy 2 glasses of whiskey the other day, or bottles. One of them was Monkey Shoulder, which is fantastic. I love it. Huge fan of Monkey Shoulder. The other one was John Bar, and it tasted like fucking paint. It was horrible. There was I got that one, and you know why I hated it? Because it reminded me of Johnnie Walker Red, today's sponsor. And it just, I think Johnnie Walker Red, it's weird because it has such a distinct flavor. You'd be like, oh wow, but that's not good. Like, I'm sure poop has a distinct flavor. I don't think you could probably mistaken. Actually, I would imagine poop probably has a good and I don't want to talk about it, whatever. All right, now we got some stand-up dates coming up here, and we'll roll those now. This section is always going to be sad until it isn't. Once when we're out of quarantine, then I'll start to sparsely trickle those back in as stand-up shows are actually happening. And then once I become violently and lucratively famous, just, shows every day, then that's going to be a long scroll, baby. But for now and for the foreseeable future, it will be dead empty. Actually, sad until it isn't is, I think that's the unofficial slogan for Stockholm Syndrome. Is that the one? What's the one where, is it Homestead? No, Stockholm's right. Where you love the person, your abuser. I don't know. Let's talk about it. Do you think actually, and I was thinking about this the other day, and when I say the other day, I mean this morning. Do you think, like, people in really shitty marriages kind of have, like, a degree of Stockholm Syndrome? Like, think about it, like, let's say assume you're in a, so I think there's two, we can take it to an extreme. We can take, like, a physical abuse, like, let's say you're person, we're gonna stay away from genders because I'm progressive. No, not really, but, so let's say that person A abuses person B consistently. And so for the first year, they tried to run or dodge, and then they didn't, and that continued. And now they're kind of okay with it, and they love it. And now, so they stay in this horrible, abusive marriage or relationship in, like, the extreme physical sense, if you can't escape it. So I'm sure there's maybe some of it there, but I think there's a lot of, like, mental shit too, where, like, your wife calls you little dick or something for 19 years, and then that starts to become endearing, like that you love it and you need it. So I just wonder how many horrible, disgusting, like, from the outside looking in, you're like, oh man, that marriage is fucked, because from the outside looking in, you always have a full, robust view of what's going on. So you should speak on all occasions like that. But I am curious to see, I wonder how much of that would be, if you could psychologically, like, diagnose it from a Stockholm Syndrome-esque, I don't know, angle. Maybe not. Maybe you could. And it's again, with everything, it's probably like some maybe, most not. But okay, let's do the first official DA topic. And again, a few of these for today. I'm going to try and keep them a little shorter, maybe do a few more, but we'll see what happens as I go. I love it when you guys suggest stuff because it takes the pressure off me, because if it sucks, I can blame you. And if I make it really funny, I can just say how cool and clever and creative I am. It's what I call the bad manager syndrome. It's like a shitty manager. If anything goes wrong, it's just like, oh, these stupid apes below me, these dumb Neanderthals, they really fucked up. How could this happen? So anything that goes wrong is their fault. But if anything goes right, Bill really goes above and beyond, puts in 80 hours this week and finishes this project a week overtime. He'll be like, well, it was because of my great managerial oversight that my underlings were able to achieve such grandeur. So, bad manager syndrome. So if the topic sucks, it's your fault. If it's great, it's because of me. Fantastic. This is just right where I want to be. This is gonna be the first one. Should you hold hands on your way to divorce court? And I think before we get into that, the answer is going to depend on what kind of divorce it is. Because I think there's like the violent, vindictive, like I want you dead, or at the very least half your things, and alimony so I can live my cool ass life without you. But I can't afford it myself, so you're going to have to help me afford it. Thank you. Bye. Never speak to me again. Stuff all the time, American Disability Act stuff. And one of them is like audio stuff for the blind. So if they want to use a website, they still can, which I kind of thought that was one of the shitty parts about being blind. Like, yeah, I get it. You should be able to go to the government store, but I make car websites. Like, are there a lot of blind people shopping for cars online? And I just because if you can still browse the internet, then being blind doesn't even seem that bad anymore. Like, if you're blind, the shitty part about being blind is no internet. So if we give them the internet, we've taken away the shitty part about being blind. That's it. Stamp of approval. That's how I feel. Don't let the blind go on the internet. Unless they want to, I guess. I don't know. Okay. And he can't because mom and dad couldn't get their shit together. Then I think, yeah, you should probably pay to keep that child's life that way. But the topic was more or less an argument on the side of person B is just like, I don't want to be here. Whatever. Okay, so then, so if it's that violent, evil marriage, you probably shouldn't hold hands because, one, I think that would show a great sense of humor, and if you're willing to joke about getting a divorce at a divorce court together, you probably should be able to figure it out. Like that's one of those big, deep, jokey things. Because I can't. Yeah, never mind. I just think that's a pretty heavy joke topic. So if you're both on the same page with that, I think you're probably okay. And also, if you were to go into a divorce court, I don't know if you have. I don't know. I know people who've been divorced. I could just talk to them, but don't wanna. Can a judge formally deny a divorce? Because if you go into a divorce court holding hands, and chuckling, and you're like, "Hey, we're here to get a divorce," the judge could be like, "Is this a fucking joke to you? Is this a little bit of a goof?" And then they can maybe deny your divorce. Can they do that? Can a judge make you not get divorced? I mean, you can always do the Christian divorce where you don't formally get a divorce because you don't want to, but you just live together and do your own thing. I mean, separately and do your own thing. So I don't know, maybe. Anyway, we talked about that enough. Let's go on to the next topic. Who was the best Star Wars character? Now, I've chose this one as an example because questions like this are going to be really hard to play. Phlegm. That means I don't have coronavirus, though. Coronavirus is described as a dry cough. Phlegm and mucus imply you might not have it. Or maybe it does. I don't know. I didn't do any research. So questions like this are going to be hard to play devil's advocate to because it's super opinionated. It'd be like me trying to argue what is the best color, which I would argue is red, maybe black. But we'll still try. I'm going to play it with three maybe big characters, one from each trilogy. Because here's the deal, with it being so opinionated, someone could be like, my favorite character is Salacious Crumb. Salacious Crumb is my favorite dude, and anyone who doesn't like Salacious Crumb is stupid and I hate them. And they wouldn't necessarily be wrong, and we could have that argument. So now, before we get into it, I do want to say I ran a Star Wars club in high school because I was too shy to talk to girls I liked. I played soccer, and it's crippled by the fact that I assumed I was too short to impress anyone. I mean, I'm just kidding. I was pounding gash into the late morning every day. This guy gets it. No, I don't know. So I know a lot about Star Wars. I spent so much of my life, dude. I like Star Wars. Is there anything better than somebody who's is a super huge fan of anything because it just makes gift giving them something just effortless. My father-in-law, he loves Harley Davidson, so I could get him Harley Davidson. He'd be like, hell yeah, man, these are sweet, thanks. Doesn't matter what it is, it's just that it's Harley Davidson. So I can't tell you how many shitty presents that I got that were only saved because they were branded with Star Wars stuff. So what I'm trying to say is I know a lot about Star Wars. I love it. It's super cool. It's my favorite. And there was a time when I loved it more than anything. And now I'm bitter and jaded, but that's not what this is about. So let's discuss three characters. Let's start with the prequels. A crowd favorite. Let's talk about Darth Maul. Was he the coolest character? Now, I'm going to try and speak in regards to a general fan and not like an EU power nerd, someone who reads the Wikipedia article of the day, or used to at least, I guess. So Darth Maul, visually very cool. He was super unique, which is kind of a critique that comes into the late trilogy that we can kind of get into later, but he's cool. He's like a big, horny, not horny in a sexual way. He actually has horns on his head. There will be a picture on here when I'm talking about it, so you'll be able to see him. He's got tattoos. I don't know if they're face paint, if he went to Party City. Actually, I do know that they're tattoos, kind of. Well, I think Zabraks, which is Darth Maul's race, have those markings by default, but I think he made his darker because he was with the Night Sisters, whatever. Also, Darth Maul is now in the Clone Wars Season 7, spoiler alert, but if you watch the Clone Wars, you've already seen him, so it doesn't matter. So he's kind of a cool, still relevant character. He was also one of the first people to have, at least in the main form, a variant of lightsaber. Dooku has a bent one. Kylo Ren's got the shitty cross one that doesn't do anything, but Darth Maul had a double-sided lightsaber, which gave him cool factor for sure. He was also played by an actor who was like an acrobat, I think, so he's very wild and free, if you will, with his fighting, which was cool. People liked that. So as far as like having a unique silhouette, having a unique, character design, I think Darth Maul wins a lot of marks there. His downsides are he has one speaking line and dies in the same movie he's presented. He has
Tatooine is sparsely populated. If the trace was correct, I will find them quickly, Master.
Move against the Jedi first. You will then have no difficulty in taking the Queen to Naboo to sign the treaty.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
maybe 5 minutes of screen time. Like, if you have a checklist on how to make a shitty antagonist or how to shoehorn in or force a antagonist, ask yourself, is your antagonist in the movie for almost no time? Okay, check. Does he have little to no character development? Check. Does he die in the same movie he appears? Uh-huh. Which I guess isn't fair to say, but let's look at the greats. Anton Chigurh, Heath Ledger's Dark Knight, Thanos in, I think, Infinity War more so than Endgame. They're like, these people were a huge part of the movie because they are themselves characters. So I think when you kind of relegate your antagonist to just thing that the good guys fight, it kind of diminishes him. So as a character, I think there's a lot of arguments against Darth Maul. But I think visually and feeling like part of the Star Wars universe, Darth Maul's right there. So I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's an example of someone from the original three. One of my favorites from the original three was Plo Koon. Just because I thought he looked visually cool. He's like a weird squid guy. He gets murdered by Clone Wars in Order 66. Long may he reign. And so that's how he meets his end, but that's okay. So he's cool. Let's go to the original trilogy. I guess I'm kind of doing a lot of antagonists, but I feel like I should do antagonists for consistency. Maybe not. I don't know. I was gonna do Darth Vader. Darth Vader has probably been the most, maybe other than Yoda or Luke Skywalker. Darth Vader's I'd still even say I think Darth Vader's probably the most iconic Star Wars character ever. I mean, they plastered this poor fucker on advertisement for movies he wasn't in. I mean, he was in Episode 3 for 13 seconds. You could argue Anakin Skywalker. Darth Vader was formerly in the movie for maybe 13 seconds, but he was like the predominant advertisement on that. And then even in the new trilogies, J.J. Abrams / Ryan Johnson's, they hover around his helmet like 4 times. There's all kinds of visions. You can hear his voice. Like, let him go. And the thing is, and this isn't necessarily my idea. I got a lot of this from someone else I was listening to, but it's just like, Darth Vader was cool in the trilogy because he was just some badass who ran around and meant business, right? He just showed up to beat ass. Okay. He showed up to kick ass, and and that's kind of all he was. The original trilogy didn't make him out to be, this super hyper inflated. It's kind of George Lucas and then obviously Disney subsequently kind of got lost in the sauce of fan service, if you ask me, and they stopped really giving a shit about unique or competent story. It's more about, hey, people want to see this. Do you remember that? That's what Disney looks like, I guess. But so I think you lose a little bit of it. But when Darth Vader was just being Darth Vader, running around, being Palpatine's bitch, doing cool chores and showing up to mean business, he was cool. Again, if we talk about the silhouette, super unique silhouette. He was fun. He and he had a little bit of a vulnerable side, and he has a redemption arc at the end. So the plus is he doesn't get murdered in the first movie he appears. He rocks. So he gets my vote. I think he kind of has everything that Darth Maul had, plus a little bit of character. And then we can get into the new ones. Fuck you, Facebook. Shut up. And then, God damn it. Let's see. Who do we want to talk? Let's talk about. Shit. Let's talk about Rey, I guess. Is that some people's favorite character? I think the low-hanging fruit would be some people are like, it's so great. It's so great. It's maybe the greatest. This is one of the greatest things to see a female come in power of the Star Wars universe, which is a horseshit argument because Leia was a badass in the original ones. So people are like, finally, someone that I can aspire to be, someone who I can relate to. It's just like, nah, I disagree. I think there were good female characters. I'm definitely not going to say Padme. She's useless squalor. But Leia was super cool. And so I think, but whatever, let's say Rey, people are like, yes, it's a female character, super cool. She really visually, I think, kind of fell into ambiguity. She kind of wore the same general garbs. She didn't even have her own lightsaber, which she did it in a weird flashback. We're like, the one that folded in half, which was the most interesting thing about, so character arc didn't have any. It sounds like I'm just berating it. Let's just do this more formally. Negatives, little no character arc. She was too strong, I think, in my opinion. She really didn't have much struggle. Everything kind of, not handed to her, but everything just turned out to be as needed for the sake of the story, which will happen when it was written by J.J. Abrams and the guy who wrote Batman vs. Superman. That guy fucking sucks. And Lauren Kasdan, I think, wrote the seventh one, but he just phoned it in. It was just Force Awakens again. No, it was A New Hope again. Sorry. I don't think anybody gives a shit about this. I'm going to move on. Rey is not for me, but some people like her. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Is there any small talk that is okay? And I think I think it kind of really depends on where, when, and who. So, like, example, small talk between close friends and family is the worst. If my friend comes over and the first thing he talks about is like, hey, man, what about this weather? I'm going to shoot him. I'm gonna go downstairs. I'm going to load my gun because I keep my clips separate from my gun because that's the safe thing to do in separate cases. And then I'm going to murder my friend. So don't do that, okay? That's boring. Small talk is for when people can't fill the awkward void that is proximity to someone, and they're like, well, we can't just be quiet or act like nothing happened. So that's what happens there. Weather is the most common one, right? Weather is so mundane, and I think it's because people have nothing interesting happening in their life. So, like, if it's sunny and then all of a sudden it starts raining, they're like, oh my God, how unique is this? What a unique quandary I find myself in. Dude, no. Everyone is, if the weather is like a serious astronomical anomaly, like if there are meteors filing in and they're only hitting your house, or you saw an invisible spaceship that slightly blipped to become visible, yelled a racial slur, and then slipped back into the ether, maybe tell me about that. If the rain is acid and it is melting through the hood of your car and slowly dribbling onto your knees, which aren't very good anymore, tell me about that. But if it was sunny and now it's sprinkling, but then it went back to sunny, don't tell me, because I have fucking eyes. And I saw it as well. Probably not. I was probably in my basement. But I do have a little slat up there. I don't care. That shit is unbearable. It's so stupid. Nobody cares. It's horrible. But I think and here's another one. And then there's like small talk in regards to like a date, and specifically maybe like a first date. So if you're small talk, that one's weird because I feel like there's such a pressure to remember it. Because like small talk is, without a doubt, just a waste of time. It's kind of just getting the nervousness out if it's in that situation, so you can actually talk about something that you give a shit about or helps you understand the person better. Okay, but I think in like a first date especially, you feel like when you get home you're gonna be fucking quizzed like it's the newlywed game. So there's such a pressure to remember that shit. It's just like, it pisses me off because why do I care what I don't want to have to remember what your parents do. I don't even know if I like you yet. So the idea of the inflated importance, I think, of remembering my favorite brand of snowboard. Be like, that's not important. None of that shit's important. It doesn't matter. So small talk in dating is horrible because you feel like you have to remember it. And again, it's just biding your time to talk about something you actually care about. And that's exhausting. I don't want that. I wouldn't expect that anywhere else. Like, what if you were at a bus stop and a dude came up to you and was like, hey, man, how you doing? What do your parents do? You run. That guy probably has a family member hostage. Like, that's so bizarre. And I think that's because in dating there's such a implication that, family is important. You got to like my family. Because I think that is actually super important, but it's just like, there's all these weird, bizarrely unrelated questions. Be like, so what does your sister do? Oh, my sister sells methamphetamine and snorts Coca-Cola cans. Be like who cares? That's not what it's about. But it kind of is. So the small talk in the dating world is terrible. I don't think there's a good version of it. Small talk, the only small talk I think that is okay is completely butt-fuck random small talk. Not small talk about butt sex, but just like, if someone walked up to me and it completely random was just like, hey, man, what's your favorite Matrix movie? I'd be like, I like this guy. And I couldn't answer that because I can't remember any of them. They kind of all just melt together into one weird Keanu Reeves leather sex fever dream. Wars movie, or my favorite Matrix movie, or if The Hobbit is better than Lord of the Rings, just because Bilbo is a better character than Frodo. I'm going to think about that for a long time. That's beautiful. What time are we at? 30 minutes. Fuck. Okay. I had a few more topics, but we're cruising along here good. So I'm just going to do one more kind of shorter one. Should flavored vapes be illegal? So I think the obvious argument is it should, because when you cater them with these fun, fruity flavors, they're more or less being marketed towards children, which I get it. Kids don't like menthol flavor, only alcoholics like that. But, they love Candy Crush, Orange, Mega Purple Dream, and that's fine. So if you're making that, there is a great argument that's saying, hey, you're marketing it towards people who like sugar, undeveloped taste buds, or just children. Okay, that's a fair argument. But on the other hand, I'm a bitch of an adult. I don't want to eat slavery grass, which is what I call tobacco as of now. I don't want to smoke it, okay? I don't want to taste that. I think I want to have cotton candy. Maybe I want, if I'm going to get lung cancer, if I've decided, if I'm hooked, if I'm addicted, whatever, I need my vape, I need cigarettes, I need tobacco, whatever. Why do I have to be forced to do this shit flavor when I could have the modern technology to make me lemonade tobacco? Why can't I do that? Why is that? So the fact that you can't just remove it altogether, because it will inevitably be abused by children, which is fine, okay? It's not fine. It's inevitable. Things will always be abused by people who shouldn't be using it, right? But that does not mean you should punish the people who are using it correctly. Now, I know that this sounds like it's a shoo-in for a gun debate, but it's not. What I'm saying is I want to have my flavored vapes, and saying that because if I flavor it, it will inevitably go to children isn't fixing anything, because children are going to have it anyway, okay? There's too many shitty uncles out there. There's too many, friends who are 1 year older than them. Actually, isn't tobacco 21 now? I can't remember. It's crazy. Maybe? I think it is. Or is it just vapes? Is it just vapes or all tobacco? I don't know, whatever. But I mean, it's just. I think if you applied that argument that it's going to be abused by children, so it should be taken from everyone, can be applied to a shit ton of topics that you would probably argue against. You're like, oh no, that's not okay. Like, so I don't know. It's I don't think you can. I don't think you can ban them. I get it because children are going to abuse it, but for the people who are using it legally, we have the technology to make flavored goop. We can make shitty, disgusting slavery grass taste like lemonade. I say lemonade a lot because I love it. Simply Lemonade is my favorite. But that's all. That's going to be all. I think that's it for me, guys. Thanks for watching. This is the second episode, so I'm going to start spamming